Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jackie and this is Jackie is Making, a place where I talk all about the knit garments that I'm creating. And today I'm coming to you from the northern state of Wisconsin in the United States, where I live with my husband, my dog, and my cat. And during the week, I am a creative professional where I work in marketing and graphic design. And then when I come home and I have my free time, I love to still do so many artistic endeavors, and that's how I get caught up in knitting and quilting and cooking. And so today my focus is really just to share with you guys all the knitting that I'm doing through a traditional podcast. So I'm going to start off with going through one of my latest finished objects. Then I have 4 whips currently on the needles. And then once we're finished with that, I'm just going to give you an update on a current knit along that I'm hosting, the Fall Feels Knit Along. I'm just going to showcase a few of the beautiful makes that people are making within the knit along. And just as a quick reminder, that goes till the end of November. So stay tuned for that. And then lastly, I have an acquisition to show you. Maybe I'll just be chatting a little bit about some future plans. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Please consider subscribing. I like to update you guys once a week. As you can see, I have a very busy schedule as a young professional. And so one of the things that I've been doing lately is just trying to stay a little bit more organized so that I can be more productive and honestly have more time for my making. And one of the ways that I've been doing that is just organizing my whole life on Notion, and I've been learning how to do that through Skillshare. I personally love Skillshare because it was designed by creatives for creatives, so Skillshare classes are taught by different industry experts who are excited to share their tools, techniques, and professional journeys with their members. This makes me feel like I'm learning from people who are an expert in their fields, and I love just getting to filter through all of the different offerings that Skillshare has. They have a new sorting system, and there are many different ways for you guys to learn, whether you have a creative career or just a creative hobby, or maybe there's something new that you're really interested in learning about, like what the heck is AI and what do I do with it? If you guys would be interested in joining me, the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive 1 month free trial of Skillshare. If any of you guys have clicked that link and found something to take, let me know down below. I'd love to hear what classes you are loving as I continue my journey on Skillshare. Okay, so now to jump right into it, I'm sure you can see what my latest finished object is, and that is the Musselburgh Hat by Ysolda Teague. This is the second iteration of the hat that I've made before, the first being one that was the traditional way of making it that has a fold-up brim, and this one is just the one fold. I wanted it to be something that I could wear in the autumnal months that would be just a little bit more of a casual piece and less of a piece that was truly designed to keep me the warmest of all warms. So if you're familiar with this hat, it stretches out like a big giant pill and then it folds up within itself. So this is currently 2 layers of fabric, and then if you were to make one long enough to fold up, it would be 4 layers, keeping your ears extra warm. And I've heard a lot of people refer to this hat as the Carhartt hat dupe, which was really popular, I would say 2-3 years ago. It kind of was a popular thing in fashion to rock a Carhartt hat, and I personally had a couple. And I love that this is a more similar fit and version of that hat, but in a way that we knit it ourselves and we can pick our exact colors. So yeah, this I wanted to make to have something casual, again, to wear in the month of October, November. And what's funny is I live in, like I said, a northern state in the United States, and Wisconsin is known to be a cold state. People are always saying, oh my gosh, how do you live there? It's cold so many months of the year, and I could never do that. How do you do that? And I don't know if it's global warming or what it is. I was actually thinking I need to look up what were the temperature statistics from when I was a little kid versus now. But it's just not cold yet, you guys. It's this past weekend, it was upper 70s, 78, 79. I yeah, you're wearing t-shirts. My husband's still wearing his shorts. Like, we've had a couple of days get dropped down into like the 50s, 60s. Like, people always call this the second summer. And it's just funny because the way that I think and the way that I planned my knits is anticipating and thinking that I would be like fully dressing in all my sweaters in October, and it's just not the reality. So it's really altering the way that I'm thinking and my planning for my knitting. And, you know, perhaps for next year, I'm just going to be thinking, you know, just shifting how I'm planning my knits, and like when I'm going to wear them, if that makes sense. So like, I don't want to plan something just to wear in October if I'm not even going to be able to wear it in October, you know, like for instance, if I were to make a Halloween or let's say a Halloween inspired cowl that I wanted to wear the whole month of October, I don't know practically if that would be a smart knit because you just never know anymore. Is it going to be summer all October? It just, you know, it doesn't make sense. So I mean that to say, at least for my themed knits, things that I'm specifically making for like a specific month or a holiday, I'm just going to be more mindful that it kind of does take a little bit longer to cool down. And then also, I always know this about spring, it takes a little bit longer to warm up as well. So anyways, just something that I'm thinking about. This color is obviously very autumnal and is perfect for like the Thanksgiving month of November as well. So I'm hoping I can actually wear it into November. But yeah, it's also, I just got a color analysis and I have been termed an autumn. So maybe this is a color I'll incorporate further into the year as well. We'll see. I've always been one of those people where like I feel out of place if I'm wearing a color that's not like appropriate to the season, and I know that's not super realistic. So I kind of got to get over that. But yeah, so this pattern, if you've never knit it before, it's a little bit fiddly to get started because you start at a super small, it's called a pinhole cast on. I know there's many ways to cast this on. I personally did the crochet cast on. It took me a little bit of a while to get going. And then once you do get going though, you measure your increases after you've hit an inch, and then you look at the gauge and you just see exactly how many stitches you have per inch, and that tells you how many increases to do for the size that you're making. So it's a really awesome pattern in that regard. I'm sure if you are watching this video, you're probably familiar with this pattern. You've heard a million people talking about it. But if you are new, just know it's a really cool pattern in that you can use any yarn that you have. Granted, you have enough yardage. And after you get through that hard part, just know it's pretty mindless, just in the round. And it's an enjoyable knit in that it perfectly almost fits on those 16-inch round circular needles. And it's a really easy project to take around and have as mindless knitting. So that's personally my favorite part about it. And it tends to go pretty fast if you need something mindless to carry around with you. So yeah, that is the Musselburgh hat for me. I don't feel like I need to talk about it anymore because I've talked about it so much on my channel. Only thing I want to note for you guys is I think that I'm having a little bit of an issue with the sizing for me when I'm using superwash, at least, because the 2 times I've made it, I've used superwash. And the first time I knit the adult large, this time I knit the adult medium. And my first one was too big. This one is also a little bit big, so much so that after I blocked it, I put it in the dryer for about 10 minutes. And now, I mean, it fits good. It's just definitely still, there's a lot of room in there, and it just depends on how you guys like your hats to fit. I was expecting it to fit a little bit more snug, a little bit more like a glove. And I had a friend say maybe that's because it is truly designed to have that 4th layer folding up. I've also heard people say you should never block superwash because it stretches so much. That's definitely a controversial opinion. But yeah, I would say if you're looking to me for advice on this, I wouldn't say I have mastered this pattern yet. I don't have a perfect formula, so my details will be in my Ravelry on what I've used, but I wouldn't say I'm 100% satisfied with this pattern just because it doesn't fit me exactly how I want to fit me. I'm still learning as a knitter what's best for me, and obviously with each pattern that's going to change. So yeah, I think it looks good and it fits fine. It's just not perfect. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. As knitters, we're a little bit hard on ourselves and we want something to turn out absolutely perfect. So I'm still trying to figure out what my perfect might be in a hat. So yeah, that is the Musselburgh hat. And next I'm gonna get into some whips to showcase for you guys. All right, well, this is fun. This is the sweater that I'm making for my husband, and it's so close to being finished. I really thought I might have been able to finish it today for you guys. So I'll put some more clips in here where you can see the full totality of it. But you guys, this is so close. On one of the sleeves, I'm pretty much done with the ribbing. I just have not bound off yet. I'm waiting for him to try it on to give me that A-okay that it's almost finished. I have about halfway of the ribbing done on the body. I did actually put this on him and confirm that what the pattern size is gonna be perfect for his length. And then yeah, I just started on the ribbing on this side too. So my current plan is to match up the ribbing on both sides, have him try it on and see if I need to do a little bit longer, finish out this bottom ribbing, and then I'm thinking I'm going to block it first and then I'll be putting in the zipper. Yeah, that kind of makes the most sense to me as far as like, you know, stretching, making sure everything's even before I sew in that zipper. I also haven't determined yet if I'll hand sew the zipper or if I'll put it underneath my sewing machine. I'm thinking because so many people have made this pattern before that I'll be able to look up some YouTube tutorials. If I do use any, I'll let you guys know in next week's podcast. But yeah, I'm honestly just hoping to finish this week. My husband has been begging me to finish this, even though it hasn't been cold enough, like I mentioned. So I've gotten a little bit off the hook in that regard. But yeah, I'm so close. And I'm just gonna show you guys this yarn a little bit up close. It's pretty rustic in nature. It is a 100% wool and is a farm yarn, I believe. Yes, I got out one of the tags to show to you guys. So this is from Wild Barn Yarn, and this is a DK 3-ply, 250 yards from a Romaldale sheep, and they are from Denison, Minnesota. And I've mentioned so many times this sheep's name is Brooklyn, which is so fun. But yeah, this is knitting up pretty well. I'm interested to see how much the stitches even out. They just like look rustic in nature. You know, the plying of the yarn kind of goes in and out, or the thickness of the yarn. And so it ends up looking, I feel like just rustic is the best way to put it. It's not a super neat, perfect, you know, linear lines. But I was looking at the swatch that I made and that evened out really well. So I think this is going to be one that's going to be really fun to block. It's already such a soft wool. I just find myself hugging it while I'm knitting it. And I know it's just going to soften up even more, which is really exciting. But yeah. The best thing about this here is I feel like it's gonna fit me too, so I'm excited to steal it out of his wardrobe. And yeah, it's fun. This is my first ever like farm yarn garment. This was a lot of knitting. Just the fact that it was for a man, you know, it's not cropped at all. This is my first knit I've ever made for someone else, and yeah, it's taken me a little bit longer than I thought it was going to take me. I've been working on it for about 2 months. And it definitely is a little bit boring to work with just a brown yarn, which is a lot of stockinette in this pattern. So I will say though, I will feel like very satisfied and accomplished when this is finished. though. But look forward to next week's podcast. I feel like that's going to be where this one is really going to shine. I feel like I'm going to do some showcasing of it on my husband. Maybe I'll get to like take some photos of him in it and everything. But yeah, I thought I might be able to finish it for this week and I just couldn't quite get there. But in the next couple days, I definitely can see myself finishing this. So I'm pretty excited. When one gets finished too, that always means another gets casted on, which is the best part. So that is the zipper sweater light. And now for my next whip, I actually just started working on this one again. And the one that I'm pulling out is the Stripe Pipe by Veronika Lindberg, otherwise known as Knitography. And this is one I had put on hold for a little bit just because I was really trying to get to a good point with my husband's sweater. I'm having a little bit of a hard time going in between big garment knits as much as I have been. So yeah, I'm wanting to see progress and I'm wanting to get further on them without, only making 1 inch of progress. I work on each one each week. I'm only going to have 1 inch of progress, not only for you guys, but also for myself. Like I need to see progress as well. So anyways, now that I can see the end is so clearly in sight for that one, I allowed myself to pick this one up yesterday when I went to knit with friends. So here is what we have so far for my stripe hype. Isn't this so cool? So this is a very autumnal stripe hype, and I have the body just about finished here, you can see. And this one is going to feature 5 different accent colors. So this was an orangey color here. We went into a navy. This is probably like a reddish rust color. And then this one is more close to a brown rust. It's basically this one, but a lot more brown and dark. And then the last color I'm gonna have is it's gonna go into a teal. I'll have to keep that for a surprise to show you guys next week what that looks like progressing into this, which I'm so close because an arm has 3 stripes of brown and then it goes into 3 stripes of teal. So yeah, this is my stripe hype, and this is made out of that beautiful shaniko wool by Fiber MacGyver. It's a natural non-superwash wool, and it's just been beautiful to work with. The stitches I feel like are just gorgeous and uniform. And this is kind of what I mean why, like during the last one I was talking about how it's more rustic in nature and it's not as uniform and perfect. Like when I look at this is perfect. This makes me feel like I did a good job. The other one, I have to tell myself, you're still doing a good job. It's just the yarn that looks like that, So yeah, this yarn makes me feel like I'm so good at knitting because it just looks so gorgeous. And Fiber MacGyver dyed this perfectly. I feel like, it's definitely harder to get gorgeous colors on a non-superwash base. And it's so clear that she knows what she's doing with color. So yeah, I'm just really excited to see this. And now that we're past Rhinebeck, I believe these shades and this yarn will be on her website. If not this week, hopefully soon. But if it is available, I'll definitely put it in the description box for you guys because I'm dying to hear your feedback on it as well, honestly, and to see if you like it as much as I like it, because I wish that I had like 10 sweaters in this, honestly. And I know it's gonna feel so good next to my skin. So yeah, like I said, my priority has been finishing my husband's sweater, but to me, like this is gonna be my fall sweater. So I'm really excited to finish this as well. My next plans for this are to finish the collar, and I think I am gonna do my accent color in teal. I'm interested to see what you guys think about that decision, but I just feel like it would be really fun to have the color that's the furthest away also on the pop up here, and that way your eye kind of, circles around the piece. This is the big plot twist, if you will. I'm considering switching from twisted rib to maybe a 2x2 or a regular rib. This is how much I've done, and it honestly is beautiful. But I had one friend say, oh, you could switch that out if you wanted to. You could just do a regular rib. And my reply was, oh, but I love the twisted rib. And then I kept thinking about it later, and I went through a bunch of the pictures on Instagram. I just searched the hashtag stripe hype sweater. And I was really surprised that I don't know if I do prefer it. And with how much I dislike knitting a twisted rib, I was like, okay. And then I saw one that was a 2x2. I'll have to put it up here and credit this maker. I thought it looked really good. And I know I love knitting 2x2. And I'm the reason why I stopped knitting this down here and picked up the sleeve was because I was so annoyed knitting this twisted rib. And I was trying to reason with myself because I was like, I don't want to be the type of maker where I'm always only choosing things I like. Just because something's hard doesn't mean that it's bad. If something's a little bit more challenging or takes a little bit more time, it can still be an enjoyable part of your craft. You can still enjoy it if it's not your ultimate favorite, right? So I was just thinking through if I love the look of twisted rib, it's absolutely worth it to do it. But I didn't realize when I was looking at different pictures, maybe it isn't my favorite. I don't know. So I'm not fully decided yet. I'm interested in your guys' perspective, which you prefer, if you love the twisted rib look, if you think I should try it and it's worth it. I know some creators, they switch out everything for twisted rib because they don't like that their rib is more like a loose gauge, which I'm a loose knitter. My rib never looks perfect. I also have another friend that she knits inside out so that the back side of her rib shows, which is the neater side. Many options here. As you can see, I'm thinking through all of these. But yeah, I'm just trying to, I really want this to be a classic, a staple, something that I really, really love. So I'm thinking through that, and I'm just going to finish up my sleeve as I continue to make that decision. And maybe once I get to the ribbing, you guys will have told me what you think, and I'll have looked through some pictures and decided, but I'll keep you posted. I'll have an update for you on that by next week. So yeah, that is my stripe hype. And what's cool about this stripe hype is I accidentally got sent an extra ball of yarn. Susie from Fiber sent me 6 alternate colors instead of 5 that I needed for that. So what's cool is when I got that color analysis, that Kingfisher shade, I really loved on myself. And the one she sent me is so perfect for that. So I was okay, I have this one extra skein. What can you do with one skein? And I also needed a project that could be another purse project because I have recently cast off this hat and my socks. So I was thinking through that, and I decided on the weekend hat. So here is that yarn color I was talking to you guys about. I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. It's really deep, so I feel it's not too in your face. But it also is a little bit electric in its own way. And I just cast this on last week. So I'm currently working, it's again a 2x2 rib. And this is also, like I said, in that Shaniko DK, that 100% non-superwash wool from Fiber And I'm excited to see how this turns out. So this hat, I was inspired to make something that had some cables, but I didn't know if I wanted to commit to another cabled sweater. So I thought that this would be perfect. I'll be interested to see how much I like this as an on-the-go and quick project with cables, if it's going to slow me down or if I'm still going to like it. But both my sweaters are in stockinette phase, so it's nice to have something like this. This is being knit up in US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needles. Now, I will say, since this was a hat, I didn't gauge swatch, and I kind of am a gauge police around here, so surprised at myself, but I just wanted to cast something on, and since it was a hat, I gambled a little bit, and it's a one size hat, I believe. I'll double check on that, but since it's one size, I felt like I could gamble. And since it's the rib, I know rib kind of stretches in and out. So I felt like I had more leeway in that regard. We'll have to see. But yeah, so this is where I'm at so far. I'm a little bit, I kept like reading the pattern and trying to figure this out. And I also kept looking at project photos because I love the way 2x2 rib looks on this side. But if I fold it up, I don't like as much how it looks folded up, right? Because then opposite, you know, this way it's a 2x1. So you have 2 knit stitches, 1 purl stitch. But if you fold it up on the opposite side, it's gonna look like 2 purl, 1 knit. So I was looking at the finished photos because you can either make this pattern again with a fold up brim or just with a standard, like how this one is, just not folded up. So I was like, okay, I know if it's not folded up, it's going to look like this, right? 2x1. But how are they turning it or something and making it so that you can fold it up and it's still 2x1? So I was looking through, I hope this is making sense to you guys. I was looking through project photos and some people's is correct when it's folded up, but then some isn't. So I don't know if I'm missing something. I'll put the couple of photos up here. And I don't know what would that look like in the pattern if you do like switch directions or whatever. So I hope you guys are just laughing at me right now because I'm just sitting here in utter confusion because I don't know if I'm doing this correctly or not. I'm just, all that to say, I would be bummed if when I fold it up, it's 2 purls, 1 knit, because I don't like it as much as the 2 knits, 1 purl. So yeah, that's why I have so few words, because I haven't figured it out yet. But I'm interested to see, either have you guys made this pattern or do you know what the steps would be to ensure that you're still getting that on the outside? To me, it's not equating in my brain, which is why I love having you guys and getting to ask about that. So anyways, that is the weekend hat. And now lastly, my last whip. Oh, this is kind of a fun one. This is a fun one. Okay, so what I have here is just the very beginnings of this sock. You can see here I've just casted on the cuff here, which is just a 1x1 rib, and then I've ever so barely started that color work. I just wanted to get this on my needles, and honestly why I haven't continued working on this quite yet is because I really want to print out the pattern and keep track a little bit easier. I had it on my iPad, and something about the way that it was looking, I was just having a hard time tracking it as well. I kind of like the more manual, like having it printed out, and then I have one of those like magnetic boards where I just have a long ruler and I move it up. Either that or like a piece of washi tape. It's just a little bit more fun with me for color work to have it be manual like that. But this is like a traditional Norwegian Selbu sock, and I just want to thank my listeners so much who sent this pattern over to me. I was thrilled when it came through because I had wanted to make these so much, and it was in my Ravelry wish list, and I was actually like on the phone with my husband, and it just came through that this pattern was gifted to me, and I was so excited because then I got to look through the pattern that night. It's a really long one. It's like 60 pages because it has 5 different motifs of these socks. So thank you so much for gifting me that pattern. It made my whole night and was super generous. So thank you again. But yeah, this is kind of cool because it's a traditional motif, being that Selbu design. And then I'm using the Woolly Thistles Rambler yarn. And this is just a really cool woolly wool. And it has no nylon in it. So I'm interested to see, again, how these wear and how they work up as colorwork socks. But I'm excited in that it's a non-superwash woolly wool, and that I think for the color work, it's really gonna bloom and just look so good. So anyways, here is the pattern that I picked out of those 5 motifs. It's the one that it intrigued me and it looked really cool. I'm hoping if I love this process that I'll be making another pair out of the booklet as well. There's like a star one that I think would be really cool during Christmas time. If not this year, definitely another year in the future for me. But yeah, I'm excited about the color work. The one thing I will say is I didn't gauge swatch. This is not a theme, people, okay? It's only happening for these two. But the reason why I didn't is because the lowest stitches you could go is 664 stitches. And I knew I wasn't gonna wanna go higher than that because some of my 64 stitches that I have that I've talked about have even been a little bit big on me. So yeah, I'm thinking, you know, sometimes you knit color work a little bit tighter, but in this regard, I wouldn't have went up a different size anyways. So that was kind of my reasoning behind not gauge swatching in the first place. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to carve out some time for myself this week to get a little bit further and just show you guys a beautiful color work motif. I'm excited to get my hands into some color work again because it really is so fun and kind of meditative to see those different sequences. And I feel like I like to like count in my head, you know, like if something's repetitive, you're like 3 black, 3 white, 2, like, so I'll be like 3, 2, 2, 2. And then I'll look down at my thing again and I kind of memorize the sequence and then I do it again. And yeah, it takes me out of my head versus stockinette. There's a lot of room up there to think during stockinette, right? But when you're counting and thinking, it's very all in and all immersive, which is kind of nice. So those are all of my current whips. And now I just wanted to give you guys an update on everything that's going on with the Fall Feels Knit Along. To all of you who have participated so far, thank you so much. It's been so fun to check in and see everybody making things during the fall. It's so cool that so many different people knit across the world, honestly. So it just feels like one big community when you get to scroll through that hashtag and see what everybody's making. But for anybody who's unfamiliar, this is a knit along I'm hosting with Moving Stitches, and it is a knit along that goes through the end of November. And if you participate by posting on Instagram, and tagging us at the Fall Feels Knit Along, you will be entered to win a series of different prizes. And those prizes include like gift cards, yarn, that sort of thing. Also a pattern of your choice from Rebecca and I. So yeah, it's just an exciting time to post something that you're making this fall that gives you the fall feels, and you just get entered to win a whole variety of prizes. I thought as we're continuing progressing through the end of November, it would be fun if over the next course of my podcasts throughout the knit along, if I just showcased a few makers and said thank you to them for participating, and you guys could also cheer them on and just acknowledge how great of makers they are. So the first one is actually another stripe hype sweater. It's by Veronika Knits, and I love the colors she chose. They're kind of autumnal like mine, but she also has a green in there that is really cool. She did do the twisted rib, and it just looks so gorgeous on her. So thank you so much for participating. I love your make. Next, I have a cardigan actually by one of my friends, Courtney, and she has just fully taken on steeking. All of my friends say that's like her new personality is steeking. She steeked, I think, her first cardigan maybe a couple months ago, and then immediately dove into another one, and now she's addicted. She's telling me any cardigan I want to make, I should just steek it. And so she made cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and it's just been really cool to see the progress, and her cardigan looks absolutely gorgeous. She put on these horn buttons, and I absolutely loved them. So thank you, Courtney. And then I also have some socks by Handmade Ripples. Wow, these are so cute. Again, with the green with the orange. Super, super cool. These look very autumnal. Looks like these are vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars by the Crazy Sock Lady. And yeah, they very much look like pumpkin spice, but with that very fun green element. I absolutely love that. Ooh, and it looks like next we have a really cool vest. This is by Yarny Knots, and she made the Hourglass vest by Moray Knit. And I love that this has these like cables and the buttons down the front. She's pairing it with a turtleneck underneath and an oversized coat, her leather handbag, and you can see the leaves changing the background. Really, really beautiful. Thank you for participating. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do a whip, because you guys can also submit whips for the Fall Feels Knit Along. We know everybody's making timelines are different and sometimes you don't finish one. So this one is by Knitting Your Life, and she is making a gorgeous turtleneck, and it has some big stripes featured at the bottom. This is the Equal Sweater by All in Knitwear. Oh man, that looks like a total staple. Thanks for participating. So again, thank you guys so much for participating. Next week, I'll be featuring some more. And I hope this all just like inspires you guys, and maybe you find a new pattern or you just get inspired by somebody else's colors. It's one of my favorite things about knitting. Okay, next I have one new acquisition to show you guys. And this is actually the Gilmore Girls official knitting book by Tanis Gray. And she sent this to me before it even released to the public. So I believe this is releasing at the end of the month. I'll put the pre-order in my description box. But thank you so much to Tanis for sending this along to me. If you're not familiar with Tanis Gray, she actually came and spoke at our knitting guild, and she is someone who has a career. She's like worked on a ton of movie sets, and somewhere along the way, she got into this book publishing. So she has published books, on like Star Wars knitting, Disney knitting, a lot of things with like different IPs, and she's just really talented in what she does, and it's fun to witness her like capture the vibe in all of these books. I will say a lot of these are more so in the style of like fandom knitting and like specific knitting. So for instance, like one of the patterns in here is a sweater that says Luke's on it, like the exact same Luke's logo. Or there's one that actually says I smell snow across it. So there are different types of makers and fans. You know, sometimes you want something that just like encompasses the vibe of Gilmore Girls, and then sometimes you want something that screams Gilmore Girls. So I actually feel like this book, you know, it errs more on the side of fandom knits, but there are a couple in here. One in particular is my favorite. It's a double knit cowl, and it's plaid, and I think it's just so classic. You could knit it in so many different colors, and I think that's the one that I'm going to make out of this book. But yeah, I'll flip through here a little bit for you guys and show you some of my absolute favorites from it. I feel like if you are a fan of the show, a super fan, like I consider myself, I feel like it's just fun to have in your collection. Like it's a dedicated knitting book towards your favorite show, which is always super fun. So yeah. Thank you again to Tanis for sending me this. Oh my gosh, I just flipped to another one that I love, which is an Argyle vest. I feel like the two I'm going to make from this is the Argyle vest and the plaid cowl, because I'm definitely more of give me something that feels like the vibe, not necessarily too literal. But everyone's different. Some people like the actual literal stuff too. So anyways, I wanted to show you guys that. And lastly, I just wanted to talk to you about what you can look forward to next week. I have some yarn arriving today that I'm so excited to talk with you guys about. I've partnered with a mill that you may or may not be familiar with, and I'm going to be making the shift cowl out of it. And with them, I've also kind of created some bundles with them for you guys to shop from. So I'm just hoping it's going to be a really cool way to close out the end of the Fall Feels Knit Along. I'm going to get to showcase a new mill to you guys that I think is so worth supporting, and they're so fun to follow. So I'm excited, if you are unfamiliar with them, to introduce you to them. And also just to make this fun accessory. I love the shift cowl. I think it pairs so well with just, you know, like a long sleeve t-shirt like this that you can wear inside and be kind of cozy and cute. I love those. I feel like I'm turning into one of those people that loves those little knits that are a little bit easier to make and you can wear more times a week than a sweater, and it's just different than a sweater too, but you can still wear it, you know? So anyways, I've been really excited about that shift cowl for a while. I actually had another one of you purchase that pattern for me. Thank you so much. And I just know that I can't wait to show it to you guys. I can't wait to show you who I'm working with and the colors that I picked out. Should be really, really fun. So stay tuned for that next week. As always, thank you guys so much for being here. I can't wait to hear about your opinions on what I talked about today, and also what you're currently making, and what's the weather like where you are? Is it cold yet, or are you still 80 degrees for no reason? Don't forget to click on that link down below if you are interested in that 1 free month of Skillshare. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Happy knitting. Bye-bye.